Every year in the UK, we throw away enough rubbish to fill 3.5 million double-decker buses. For the army of professionals who clean up after us, it's a never-ending battle, often disturbing, dangerous and gruesome. Who clears up the undiscovered deaths, the squats and the graffiti, and who rids us of the vermin that thrive on our throwaway society? Welcome to the world of the real filth fighters. On the programme today, an evicted council house tenant in Ipswich has left her home in a shocking state.
Oh my God, there's just dog's mess everywhere. God, it stinks.
Gary and Paul confront a pile of filth in the centre of Preston.
Dirty stinking waste. Top day.
A touch of frost doesn't stop the intrepid crew of a Chelmsford litter boat.
It's peaceful, isn't it?
It is peaceful and cold.
Peaceful and cold, but then again, what a lovely day to do this job.
Yes.
And Paul, the rat catcher, strikes again.
There we have one baby rat, and it's a shiftless mortal coil.
But first, a third-floor council flat in Ipswich is today's destination for a team of extreme cleaners. The last tenant has vacated the property, but left her possessions behind. The flat must be cleared out and made ready for a new tenant. Today, that job falls to Barry, Gary, Cedric and Sam. But it's not going to be easy.
Oh, look at the state of this. There's just dog's mess everywhere. God, it stinks.
Watch what you're treading, boys.
Righto. Oh my God. It's everywhere, look at it.
To close my nose, but I can still smell the dog poo.
I'm wondering if they've piled up the dog food and left the dog here, because there's so much, you couldn't really live with this amount of mess around.
Oh, watch where you're walking. Bloody everywhere.
The abandoned dog has since been rescued, but not before leaving a minefield. They soon get an impression of who was living here.
Princess.
It seems this is the story of the princess and the poo.
We're buried, so it's what we're gonna do. Try. Just real nice.
OK, well, the first thing we're going to try and do is clear this gangway, because if we can't get in and out without treading and stuff, then it's going to be a messy old job.
It sounds simple enough, but there's a serious risk.
Dog faeces, if you touch it and then touch your eyes or your face, it will actually make you go blind in some cases.
Barry is talking about toxocariasis, a roundworm infection in dogs which can spread to humans, usually children, and can occasionally cause blindness. For Cedric, it's all about texture.
It's sticky dog. It tells you how many days the dog has been here.
The boots are probably not Jimmy Choo's, but they could be Jimmy Poo's.
Nice shoes. Going out for a meal.
Suit you, they're just your size, aren't they?
Let me try the walk first.
Stroll on, Cedric.
Nice.
There's been a report of fly tipping in Preston city centre, and enforcement officers Gary and Mark have arrived at the scene of the grime.
Right, this is one of my most favourite places in Preston. As you can see, it's right in the heart of the city. It's full professional people. Supposedly very, very clever people. Not quite sure about that, but there you go.
Gary's frustration with the residents here is easy to understand.
When it first opened, we had a lot of problems here with rough sleepers because the bins for the property are actually in behind these doors. We had a lot of problems with overnight vagrants sleeping in there. There's a bit of drug use in there. There was a lot of drinking going on in there. So the management company and ourselves got together and we decided to put a combination lock on the premises. We letter dropped everyone, told them what the number was. Now, whether it's a bit too much for them to actually use the combination lock, I'm not sure. It obviously bloody is. So rather than putting it in the bin, they dump it here.
And now, Gary has had enough.
Because they've already had the notice served on them, anything we find in this waste, it's an instant £100 fine.
So if there's rubbish outside, what's the state of the bins within?
And lo and behold, it opens. Amazing.
Could they be overflowing?
And guess what? There's plenty of room, but they choose not to use it. That one's empty as well.
Gary is far from impressed.
There's absolutely no excuse for this. We have spoken to some of the residents. They knew about the accommodation. So these are lazy people who just cannot be bothered. Who probably come out to go to work first thing in the morning. Shall I put it in the bin? Nah, just dump it there. Somebody else will come and do it for us. What these folk don't realise is that mugs like myself and Mark, we're the ones that have got to come and clear this rubbish up. And it doesn't matter how many letters you send to these people, they just choose to ignore you. Well, unfortunately, they can choose to ignore us to a certain extent, but then they'll end up in front of the magistrate. And they don't need to explain it to me, they can explain it to a magistrate.
Outside, Mark is fishing for evidence that will link the fly-tipped bags to their owners.
Anything, obviously, with identification on it, anything we can link to any of the residents, from utility bills, general letters, taking evidence from prescription bottles and things like that with names on.
You finished?
Trying.
Let's have a look.
Nothing specific at the moment, mate.
But it's Gary who strikes gold first.
And here you go. It actually says on here, you should remove this card, keep it safe and not share it with anyone. Anyone want to look at a card? Duh.
The mood lightens as the lads discover that one of the fly tippers has left a trail that couldn't be easier to follow.
There's information relating to his vehicle, including registration numbers, about his credit rating, debts that he's got. So I don't think we'll have much trouble finding this one.
Gary and Mark may be itching to track down the perpetrator, but first they've got to deal with the filth he and his fellow residents have dumped on their doorstep.
Dirty, stinking waste. Top day. Top day.
Back in Ipswich, there's a room with a poo.
I think what it is everything out of the dog's reach was reasonably clean, but everything sort of down below is obviously quite minging and dirty. It smells a lot like a fishing shop, so I wonder if there's a couple of maggots in there somewhere, I don't know.
In this game, you never know what might turn up next.
Something's a bit honking in here. That's what's honking in here. I'm not going to keep it, it's going to go.
There's meat and veg.
Some chopped tomatoes. I think I'm going to chuck that one out and move on a bit, I think. There's some bread, which is 2 months old.
Whoever was here certainly left in a hurry.
And there's washing in the washing machine that's been there for 2 months. Oh, it's definitely a bit of a sort of damp aroma there.
I've got something for you, mate.
Cedric is a firm believer in recycling.
Oh, right, yes.
What size are you on?
Slightly bigger than that, I think. I might get it on, but I'd never get it off again.
Take it in there, man. Ooh.
And he doesn't give up easily.
Your size?
No, more your size, I reckon.
Mine are too big, man.
Yeah. Cedric seems to keep finding women's underwear, which he has to have a little giggle at before he throws it away.
Look the same, but it's different colour.
As Cedric demonstrates that one size fits all, Sam finds some frozen body parts.
3 or 4 more pig's trotters there. Somewhere there's a pig with no feet.
You can tell a lot about a person from their possessions.
You know the secret behind this house, man? You know what it is? I'm not sure, but it looks like you put your dope.
All right.
And then you make a spliff. That's how it looks like. What do you think, sir?
Maybe, now you say it, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's heading for the bin.
Bye.
The
cupboard contents suggest that Cedric's drug theory was on the money.
And then also in the kitchen cupboard is some sort of pipe box, maybe? I don't know. That's a little bag with nothing in it, but also right next to it was some quite large cigarette papers. What suggests maybe some more drug use in this flat.
Finding some holes in the door, Barry comes up with another theory.
Well, by the looks of this one here, someone's been punching it. It looks about this size.
The lads are learning more at every turn.
There's plenty of stereos here and Possibly that was part of the problem they had. I mean, if you've got a really big stereo system in one flat, that's going to cause problems for all your neighbours around.
The pathway's now cleared. It's time to move everything out, starting with the big stuff. And then there'll be the face wash.
Once we get everything clear, then it's get the pongo out and have a good mop through.
In this weather, Sam and Cedric don't mind the manual labour.
Keeping us warm, that's for sure.
Good teamwork, mate.
Back in Preston, Gary and Mark are still rootling in the fly-tipped rubbish.
As you can see, you know, why have we got rats? Well, that's why you've got rats.
You can smell this rubbish from streets away, but if they're going to find more leads, the lads are going to have to get up close and personal.
This is vile. It's as though people store it until it starts rotting in their own property and then bring it out.
If you can imagine being in Jamie Oliver's kitchen, right, he's cooking a nice Christmas dinner. It's about like that. Not.
But at least the clues keep coming, and it seems this culprit is a multiple felon.
We have a fixed penalty ticket, which, although it doesn't have a name or an address on it, it does have a car registration number. And this was for £50. As well as that, there's also a parking ticket issued to them the end of October this year, which was by Preston City Council for £70. So obviously this year they're having a really, really bad period, aren't they? It'll take us literally 10 or 15 minutes back at the office to link this car registration to the owner of the vehicle and thus to their address. So we'll have a fixed penalty notice in the post to them by close of business today.
Some people, it seems, just love paying fines, and Gary, for one, has no problem with that.
Serves you right. It's like the old, you know, you take your chance, you get caught, pay up.
Right, they're the last two, mate. Yeah.
Gary and Mark have rid the streets of the foul-smelling rubbish, but for them, the story has just begun.
The statute notice is quite clearly stated. You must put your waste in the bin. Well, you can see the problem. You know, that people ignore it. Well, that's fine. Ignore it if you want, but you are going to get fined. And if you don't pay the fine, we'll take you to court. It's as simple as that. So what do you want to do? Pay the fine, go to court, or put your rubbish in the bin? Duh.
Coming up, the Ipswich doghouse gets a new fragrance.
Whoever's gonna come in will have a nice clean house. Excellent. Fantastic.
A pest controller brings relief from rats.
I can sleep at night and I can have a shower without thinking they're going to come through the shower.
And the pride of Chelmsford sets sail in search of floating filth.